There we go. Hey guys, so today we're going to do a little bit of an experiment, and this is going to be a somewhat unscientific experiment, but it might be kind of cool anyway. Let me show you what we're going to do. So if you get the technology package on your JL Wrangler, one of the things that you'll notice, of course, you get the 7-inch Uconnect with touchscreen, but in the climate control section you have automatic climate control. So you can turn it on and you can hit the auto button, and I always do this. You have to have it on run. I always try to do it on accessory. You think I'd learned that by now. Anyway, let's try this again. So with it in run mode, you can see that there's an automatic climate control setting, and you can run the temperature up and down just like you would do in your house. And of course the passenger has their own setting, but we're going to, for the purpose of what we're trying to do here, we're going to leave those synced. There's a button right here where you can sync both sides of the Jeep. So the purpose of this is that on this automatic climate control system in the JL, it just doesn't seem to work very well. I've had this Wrangler since back in April, and actually the week that I got this thing, it was cold and snowy, and I noticed right off the bat that it didn't seem to work very well. I've had automatic climate control on some other vehicles in the past, and it worked really well, and it just doesn't seem to work so well here on the Wrangler. And I noticed on one of the forums, I think it was the JL Wrangler forum, there was a thread recently where a lot of people were complaining about how it's just not very effective. So what we're going to do is, I've got a, gosh, it's hard to see, this is an Oregon Scientific thermometer, hygrometer. Obviously it shows the temperature readout and the humidity, which we're not concerned about. And I'm going to set this, as you can see here, to 70 degrees. And I'm going to put this thermometer right over here in the passenger seat where my lovely wife would normally sit, so we can gauge comfort over there. And we're going to drive this Jeep for about a half hour so that it has plenty of time to warm up and do what it's supposed to do. And then we'll see just how far off the actual temperature is inside the Jeep compared to what it's set to here. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so I've got the engine running, everything is set, got the automatic button pressed here. It's on 70 degrees. As you can see, it is 2:58 p.m. and that is Eastern time, and right now it's showing 62.8 degrees in here. So let's drive this thing for about a half hour, and then we will check and see where we're at. All right. Now, I guess I should also mention that the ambient temperature outside right now is 49 down to 48 there. So we're in the 40s outside. It's not overly cold right now, but this should give us a good little, experiment here. I'd like to do it also when it's like well below freezing outside one morning. I'd like to try it in those conditions too. We may do that later, but I just wanted to show you that. Alright, we're down to 45 degrees ambient temperature outside, and so far we're only about 10 minutes into this trip, and the temperature showing about 61 degrees in here, about 9 degrees cooler than what it's set to. So let's keep on heading down the road here, give it a little more time and see what happens. Alright guys, so getting pretty close to home now. As you can see, the ambient temp outside has dropped a little more. We're down to 43 degrees now, and we've still got the automatic climate control set to 70. As you can see, it is 3:28, so we've been on the road for about half of an hour exactly. And if we check the temperature, looks like we're still holding right at about 61.5 degrees. So pretty big difference between what the display is set to and what it actually holds the temperature at inside the Jeep. So I just pulled in the driveway, guys. It is now 3:39, so it's been another 10 minutes or so. And just for kicks and giggles, on this last leg of the trip, I bumped it up to 78 degrees just to see what would happen. And interestingly, as you can see, the temperature only came up just a little bit. We're still in the low 60s here. Even with it running See, the engine's running. Automatic, 78 degrees, and we're still down at 62.2. And according to the little trend arrow on there, if I can get this thing to focus for you, you can see the temperature is actually decreasing. Again, it's actually been holding steady, but it's certainly not going up anymore. So that's pretty interesting, guys. Again, this was not a scientific test, but we can at least tell from this that what we're thinking is true, that the temperature on the automatic climate control does not work very well on the JL Wrangler. So if you have one of these and it seems like you have to really crank it up to get comfortable inside the Jeep, that's because you do, guys. You're gonna have to put this temperature way up in order to get it comfortable in here. And again, this is only at 43 degrees, so I'm gonna do another one of these. You know, maybe might be a couple of weeks, but when we get down in the 20s and the teens, starts to get colder outside, it'll be really interesting to see what the discrepancy is. But for now, there's at least 10 degrees, if not more, difference. Oh, look, it came up a little bit, 62.6 as we're sitting here. But there's a huge difference here, and that's very, very interesting. The other vehicles that I've had, like the Nissan Frontier, a Dodge Challenger, some other things that we've had over the years that have had automatic climate control, they worked really well. For some reason, this one just doesn't seem to. I think that right here underneath the push button start, I think that is where the interior temperature sensor is. So it could be that they don't have this programmed to put enough weight into what that sensor down there is telling it. You know, maybe it's based too much on other sensor inputs or something, I don't know, but it just doesn't seem to work well. So there you go, guys, it's true. You're gonna have to just crank the temperature up this winter. Thanks for watching.